we meet you well this time with this broadcast this morning. It's about the celebrated LG Autonomy, the judgment from the Supreme Court that we all are celebrating. But Dr. Odebowale believes that it's some kind of an illusion, that we shouldn't waste our time trying to celebrate it yet. And we want to hear his own side because Dr. Odebowale seems to be seeing it from another lens. So good morning, Dr. Odebowale.
Good morning, Shegun. How have you been?
Very fine, sir. I read somewhere you described the LG autonomy we are all still celebrating. You described it as some kind of illusion and as no way a guarantee to development. That's contrary to the way most people see it. What are your views, sir? Can you explain
thank
to
you.
us?
Thank you. Well, the LG autonomy, as most people conceive, is not only an illusion. It also shows that we have really lost touch with the political concept, which, federalism, offers. The concept of federalism as a political concept, I think most of us have really lost touch with this. And I will not blame those who celebrate the judgment of the Supreme Court. It has to do with the perceived attitude of the governors over the years concerning how they've been allegedly misappropriating local government funds, and how there has been no development in that tier, area of government. I won't say tier of government, because the local government is not a separate tier. It is not a separate tier. Now, how did we get here? You see, we must always insist on knowing the root cause of a problem before we begin to offer solutions. Otherwise, we would just be, using the quick, we'll be rigmaroling. Thank you. Yeah, like just be perambulating like that, like Fela would say. After amalgamation, I don't want to go into long history this morning, but you see, Nigeria became a political fact, a political reality in 1914. We moved on 1960, we got our independence. But between 1914 and 1960, there was some kind of evolution, political evolution, which took us to regionalism. Starting with the Richards Constitution in 1946, and now taking off with Macpherson in 1951. And that was when Nigerians, those who were called Nigerians at that time, but who were British subjects, contested for positions. And we had three regions: the northern region, the western region, and the eastern region at that time. Then we had premiers: Ahmadu Bello in the north, Bafemi Awolowo in the west, Eyo Ita in the east. There were three regions. And in 1954, 1955, there was another election, 54. Then the election, the Little Constitution was used. It took effect in 1954, of course, started in 1955 per se. There was no local government, so to say. Because if you check the 1960 Constitution given to us by the departing colonialists, if you read the 1960 Constitution, the tiers of government were the federal government and the regional governments. As of 1960, we had the federal government and the three regions. This continued till 1963, when we adopted the Republican Constitution. And that was the very first constitution that Nigerians made for themselves through their representatives. As against the three regions, we now had four: the Midwestern region, had been created. And this constitution, the 1963 constitution, recognized, even the 1960 independence constitution, recognized the necessity for each federating unit to take charge of its own affairs. The 1963 constitution, for instance, allowed the regions not only to administer their territories, but to also consider, if they considered, creating new territories expedient, that they could go ahead so far as they complied with the laid down constitutional, procedure
Provisions. Yeah.
provisions, just like that. So there was nothing like the local autonomy. There was nothing like local government autonomy. We had local authorities under the regions. We had the local administrations under the various regions. Because the 1960 Constitution, for instance, even allowed the regions to legislate on ammunitions, on arms and ammunition. So you could not just go into any region, without recourse to what they wanted. Every region had its own constitution. I have told you before at an earlier interview that while the Western region and the North toyed with the idea of the House of Chiefs and the native authorities, the Eastern region did not have that. The Eastern region did not have the House of Chiefs in its constitution because they didn't have that culture. It is not that you have everybody who is no. The colonialists, created the idea of the warrant chiefs, created titles for them. And I don't mean to derogate. I don't mean to, to denigrate any region. No, I'm just stating facts. They never had the House of Chiefs. We are the House of Chiefs. The Oni of Ife, Sir Adesoji Aderemi, was the governor of Western region. He was governor of Western region.
So, in a nutshell, Dr. Odebowale,
yes,
under the regional system as arranged, there was no local government as a tier of government.
No.
And things, and yet all the resources, therefore, were controlled by the regional government.
By the regions, yes.
By the regions.
Yes.
Okay, so now that we have a federal arrangement differently from the regional system, and there's now a local government due to mismanagement of funds as alleged or misappropriation by those who are governing the states, the Supreme Court decided now, and as widely celebrated by the people, that let every local government receive their own funds directly.
There is no problem with that. And that is why I said that the celebration, as understandable as that, expression has been, will appear misplaced. Because some now consider it as a total freedom for local government. It is not so.
And that is why
the Supreme Court did not make any allusion to the power of the House of Assembly to legislate for the local government. That aspect of the Constitution has not been amended. The Supreme Court only ruled on Section 162 of the Constitution, vis-a-vis the issue of the joint account between the state government and the local government. And I said, look, pay the local government that have the local government that have democratically elected, governments.
Administrator, yes.
Administrator, yes. That is the judgment. That's just the judgment. It hasn't. The judgment has not said anything about the functions of the House of Assembly. The judgment has not said that the House of Assembly will cease to legislate for the local government, to direct the local government as to how to spend the whatever money is received, to give directive to the local government on whatever proposals that the local government will be submitting to the House on the functions allotted to the local government in the fourth schedule of the 1999 Constitution as amended.
The local governments also have they also have their own councillors who are more like an assembly for the local government. They are just called different
And
names.
yeah, they are
Councillor.
just mere administrators. They are just it is not clearly spelled out in the Constitution. If you check the fourth schedule of the 1999 Constitution as amended, you find the functions of the local government clearly, defined. You find it in section 1 of the fourth schedule. We list all these as well. The local government shall be in charge of motor parks. They are in charge of market. They can sanitary, sanitation. They will be in charge of primary health care, primary school, then street naming, and all other matters. Then if you check section 2, sub B of the fourth schedule, you see that the most important aspect of empowerment is withdrawn from the local government, even by the Constitution. So the local government shall undertake, agriculture and what have you, but shall not participate in the exploration and exploitation of mineral resources deposited in the local government. Go and check the fourth schedule.
That's
Because
what we have
this one has been taken.
Minister for Agric, Minister for Aviation, Minister for other mineral resources,
Solid minerals.
solid minerals. So those ones they are domiciled with the federal government.
Federal government.
Why the
Federal government.
exploration
And you
is done.
see, part of the oddity that we find in the current practice is that you say, oh, the local government is the closest to the people. Yes. The federal government has just, established a ministry of livestock. They have just established a ministry of livestock. What is the business of the federal government with the ministry of livestock? What is the business of the federal government with secondary school? As you find in your so-called unity schools. What is the business of the federal government in all of this? What is the business of the federal government in taking over? That was what I said in an earlier interview, that the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, has been struggling, has been battling with the state and the local governments for revenue. And when you grab the revenues of the areas where they are, where
Largely,
government struggled at least to increase what we call the IGR, you gather all of this, VAT and everything, you now take to the center, you put to the center, and somebody now sits like an imperial, like an emperor, and based on the recommendation of the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation, and Fiscal Commission, now begins to allocate to states and local government based on what we call land mass, population, and you say that every state is equal. Every state is not equal. Every state is not equal. That is part of the fraud that we find in the 1999 Constitution. People are afraid of talking about this. I've been mentioning that every state is not equal. How can you talk about every state being equal? Now you begin to create local governments. You put 774 local governments in the Constitution. You put them in the Constitution. as guaranteed. Section 7 of the Constitution says that, oh, nobody can dissolve the local government, that the establishment of the local government is guaranteed. Okay, we take that. But whatever you get from those who manage to produce, you now allocate to those who don't do anything. Not because they don't have resources. I said it before, that no region is poor. No region is poor. If you check NIPC's statistics on the mineral resources that we have in all parts of the country, you'll be amazed at what we have. And you now give certain individuals to be exploiting this. What should accrue to the federation, those who are close to the government of the day, are the ones stealing this under this warped system that we practice. Go to Elisha and see how they are mining gold. 10 licenses from the Ministry of Solid Minerals to mine gold. Chinese are doing it with the criminal connivance of your traditional rulers and some individuals. What should ordinarily accrue to the federation, no, to the region, assuming we're practicing, the regional system, what should accrue to Osun State as presently constituted is now taken to Abuja, and the daily allocation will now come with $5 million and say that at the end of the year, this is what we have added to the
national
pros, the national pros. Nobody quantifies what they have stolen. Nobody quantifies, how they do it. Nobody talks about ecology. Nobody talks about anything. The local government chairman is not even in control. And if somebody just comes with a piece of paper, enters the local government and begins to destroy villages, begins to destroy farmlands, begins to ship people away. You bring in foreigners to come and be exploring. Then you buy weapons and you give them Okada to ride. So that when they are on break, they compete with the local people to ride Okada. Then when the Okada thing is considered not lucrative enough, the weapons you bought for them to protect your own area or areas of mining, they unleash on the citizens to kidnap them, and they begin to get ransom. That is what we've been getting. And he himself confirmed, Dele Alake confirmed, that these miners who obtained the licenses from the Ministry of Solid Minerals are largely responsible for the state of insecurity in the land. Not one person has been arrested. He confirmed that they were the ones, and they have been the ones buying weapons for these people they bring in. Nobody. So, if you look at the 1999 Constitution, you will see that no country can experience development using the document. The states, you refer to the article I just wrote, in Premium Times. The states are not treated as subnationals. The states are not treated as subnationals. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to excuse the recklessness of those who call the governors, how they have been unaccountable, even to the people in their respective states, how they prefer attending parties and doing useless things to serving their own people. How they have been misappropriating the funds because of the joint account. Even when they go with their own fact, they have the percentage that they share, and they just do shagbaluki. But
so, Dr. Odebowale, your recommendation, therefore, would be, in spite of this new judgment granting autonomy of receiving direct allocation from the federal courts to the local government, there's still more to it. What's more in specific is left?
No, I'm saying that even the Supreme Court has not granted autonomy to the local government. There's a misconception.
But at least
the Supreme Court has simply said that, look, what you pay into the joint account, pay direct to the local government that has a democratically elected government. That is the judgment. The Supreme Court
Yes.
has not said that the House of Assembly should stop legislating for the local government. The Supreme Court has not said that, look, the fourth schedule of the 1999 Constitution has been amended. And in fact, some lawyers are arguing that the Supreme Court, even though it is a court of policy, cannot repeal any section of the Constitution without regard to the legislature. And they say this in respect of 162 subsection 5, if I'm not mistaken, that the judgment will seem to have repealed that provision without
In
recourse
other
to National
words,
Assembly.
mm,
Because, I
so
mean, those who
if
said
this judgment
that there should
stands,
be a joint account must have considered certain things before they said that. Perhaps they were looking at the first schedule and, I mean, vis-a-vis the functions allotted to the local government and the role of the House of Assembly. In fact, the House of Assembly actually controls the local government and the executive arm for as long as the issue of fiscal, policy is concerned, because the executive committee, executive council must present its budget for appropriation before you start to spend the money for the fiscal year. Then the local government too must present its proposals based on the functions allotted to it in the Constitution before they start to spend money. But what we have found in real practice is that whatever is received, that majority of what is received is used to pay indolent workers, is used to service indolence. It's used to service indolence, and nobody is bold enough to challenge the local government workers. Everybody is celebrating that they will now have access to money, so they will be spending money. Nobody is saying, look, now that some people say, oh, now they said they must construct road. We will now see whether they will construct. They cannot construct any road without going to the House of Assembly for approval. They cannot. They cannot.
are there no local roads
There
that
are, there are,
the
there are.
local
There are. In
government
fact,
can
if
maintain?
you read the first schedule, they should even be in charge of traffic on all roads that pass through their local
Their
government.
local government. Yeah.
Traffic, traffic lights, street naming, market, sewage and all of this, sewage, disposal, drainage, and what have you. But you find an overlap between the state government and the local government, because the state government, like the Minister of Environment, overlooks or supervises what the local government does. And where the Minister of Environment now comes in. But what we have found in practice is that the state governments have taken over the functions of the local government, especially in the area of revenue generation. You now find them like the local government cannot register trucks, heavy trucks. That's why you go to the licensing office of the state. But they are to let if you want to push carts, you want to ride bicycle, you want to do this, you are in the local government. That is on paper. So you find this overlap. And then when you find the local government and the state executive council cooperating, you don't really seem to notice it. That is why a government will be constructing markets everywhere. A government will be constructing markets. A government will take over motor parks and be constructing terminals without recourse to the local government. A government will take over, like the local government is in
Block of
charge of
classrooms.
cemeteries. A local government is in charge of cemeteries and what have you. You find somebody from the state or the House of Assembly taking charge of the cemetery, privatizing the cemetery. There's no way that these people don't even practice. They privatize the cemetery and begin to collect money from those who come to bury. You can't eat your corpse now. You must bury. So they now exploit money from people. You find them everywhere. To go to public cemeteries now, apart from crying because you have lost a very close person, you will even be forced to pay The exploitation starts from the state hospital where you go to dump your corpse. At the morgue, they have privatized everything. And what you find is that most of the proceeds are stolen. Are simply stolen. You use government facilities, you use government space. Because you want to maximize, you want to make it to be more efficient. You are not bringing anything to the table. You are just collecting money. I had that experience in, when I was in government, and we stopped it at Kitty. We stopped it immediately, because the nasty experience we had was that my team was invited to an accident scene. One lady had been killed on Okada, the way people misbehave, The lady was crushed by a truck because the taxi just opened, the passenger just opened the back door of the taxi and hit the oncoming Okada who was on top speed. So this lady fell down, then the truck that was coming just mashed the lady. Yeah. So we had to we packed the corpse practically to the state morgue. When we got to the place, with the police, with the then DTO, we had the officer in charge there, one superintendent of police, a woman police, who led my team to the place, and the DPO of A division. When we got to the place, even with police uniform, with my presence, and people, they said before they could even help us to pick the corpse that we practically packed. That we had to pay, how much did they ask us to pay? 60,000. Was it 60 or 30,000? I can't remember now. So let me tell any lie, but it was not something that anybody money would quickly offer. They said we should pay before they will even touch. Because when the DPO threatened to drop the corpse with them, and we had many people who followed us, and these people were not happy, the way the mob I was like, who allow these people to come and beat you people here? How can you do this to the lady that they recognized as one of them who had just died in the most tragic manner, and now treat the body like this? The answer there, the place had been privatized. The then essay on health.
Even to die now,
To die, while you are living, you are in trouble. To die, God, you can't rest in peace. It's just a mere wishful thinking that you say, may his soul rest in peace. How can the soul of a person that you can't rest in peace in Nigeria? So I had to call the governor, and the governor had to call the essay on earth. That when did we do this? They were trying to take advantage of the governor's ill health. That time, everybody give us power to steal. When did we? How? When did you privatize state hospital? How? Okay, let me come and explain this. No. Do this now. We were on it till Aketi died. I'm on it. We were on it. So ojuri, as Yorubas will say, I see plenty. So anybody who is jubilating is welcome. You can continue to wallow in that self-delusion that the local government is now free. Go to any local government office today. Go to that place today to ask, to demand that you be served. And you now see whether you are not wasting your time. The mode of recruitment, when was the last time you heard about local government recruiting any staff? It's inbreeding. And those who claim to be working for local government, most of them are not there. You listen to what Ayo Fayose said. He was a state governor for 8 years. So he knew what he was talking about. He said, go to anywhere. You are a journalist, go there. You will not find 10% of those who, you won't find them.
We see this every time.
He said
Sometimes we see this every. Sometimes even when they come to office, they come uh,
they
very
come to
late,
collect money. They come to allocate stores on the
and
road. Why? Look, why the government will be spending humongous amounts constructing road, expanding the roads. The local government staff are busy collecting money for people who want to erect stores on the road, on that road. All these all these taxes you find, apart from the NURTW and their amenities, the local government also contributes to, to the kiosk on the road. The kiosk you find, they collect money from them.
yeah, definitely.
Even those who walk on the street, they pay. And one criminal stays in one beer parlor. He says the director of revenue, a director of clinical assessment, everybody is a director. Go into their office, no record for what they collect from the members of the public. So the state, civil service, the federal civil service, the local government civil service, all of these exist to be served by the people. And what is spent, what is expended on them from the budget is so disproportionate to the point that you begin to, you don't want to join any bandwagon when they're talking about minimum wage to pay who for doing what? To pay who for doing what now? We have to talk about how to liberalize the space. When was the last time they advertised that they were ever doing anything in that local government sector? We have children who are graduates. Even those who claim to have studied the local government administration, even in the university, like Ife, I know Ife has a course like that. When was the last time you heard about anybody being employed at the local government level? They do it, is inbreeding. Inbreeding. They get the worst to implement the policies of the government and you expect performance. It's not going to happen. Go and look at the character, the characters you find as civil servants. Some of them are very good. I've had the privilege of working with very sound. You'll be shocked. Some of them are very, very good, but they are in the minority. In fact, they are hated by their colleagues for wanting to stick to the regulations, play by the rules. They are hated. That's my experience again. Because when they say high priest and perform. No. When we got there, some civil servants who were not happy with what was going on revealed the secrets to us. I could not have known that they were making 400,000 naira a month for 18 local governments in Ondo states on Okada. 400,000 naira a month, 18 local governments as revenue on Okada. I can say bundle of them. So for 7 months, we didn't allow anybody collect one kobo. We restructured the thing. A civil servant assisted us. I think it is not safe to mention anybody's name now because of what is going on there. There are local politics there now. But from 400,000, before I left, we got to 75 million. From 400,000. That's why none of them is bold enough to say anything against the high priest or Ogun State or something like that. We stopped many of these things. You do know abattoir, where they kill cows.
Yes.
They're meant to be slaughtering abattoir. The local government is in charge. But do you know that what they do will be to contract, to privatize it? Somebody will claim to be giving, I will give the government so amount in a month. So that at the end of it all, the government is just, because people are employed to do it in the local government, in the state.
But
But
those ones
somebody
are
will
not
now
even
come.
there.
They are not even permitted to work. So somebody will now come as a consultant and he begins to collect money meant for the state. And you'll be shocked to know they will not be collecting money. Now you have your children as veterinary doctors who are supposed to inspect whatever they are bringing for public safety, public health. Those ones they have now been destroyed. They have been corrupted. They've just been given 1,000 per cow, 2,000 per cow, ladder. the mentality of prebendalism. That is what you find around. So, it goes beyond the Supreme Court, pronouncing on how to share money. Whatever is allocated will be stolen. I've been saying this. If the federal government is collecting close to 53% of the total revenue, to do what? To do what? Yeah, you duplicate functions. Now you now have a Ministry of Livestock. Can you imagine that? Can you just imagine that now? You have Federal Ministry of Environment, Federal Ministry of this, you even have Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Service, where people go to steal money. Humanitarian, how?
Ministry of Happiness. One
Ministry of
governor
Happiness, you want to intervene, and you pretend that local government, you accept that local government is the closest to the government and to the people. You emasculate the state, you emasculate the local government, you take over their resources. So one individual is able to steal billions of naira. We were at home during COVID. Somebody said he was feeding us and feeding our children at home when nobody was moving, when no school was opened. And nobody is saying anything. Another person, one young lady, one girl just came now. She has been accused of stealing money too. You won't hear anything about it. Another boy who is a minister, floated a company, and the company got close to 500 million or thereabout for a small boy. He said he's performing because you can now obtain passports to go to heaven. What is this? What is it? So I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to be involved in these big bats, this pettiness. Tinubu is not good, Atiku is bad, and I don't want, no. Let us address the issues. Governments have been accused of, governors have been accused of misappropriating funds. President Inko. Under Buhari, Emefiele was asking people to, one individual, one person, went to print the naira. Just listen to the amount. Listen to the amount now. Another one, aviation minister, was launching a phantom, oh God,
logo.
Go to Yabatek. Go to their graphic design department. I guess that's the name of the department now. Go and see the quality of what they do there. You can get a student, HND student, give them as competition, as they did when they were designing the national flag. Let them do it. A student will be so happy to be awarded 5 million naira after winning the competition, and you have a logo that you can claim to be yours. You have a Nigerian logo. This criminal went abroad, gave millions of dollars to do that useless thing. And now where is nobody? The man is still working freely now. He's working freely. He served the federal government. So you can't be talking about the government and closer to the grassroots. The federal government has no business, appropriating almost 53% of the total revenue of the country for itself, so that you have, for every ministry you have in the state, you have it duplicated at the federal level. Agencies, Oronsaye panel report recommended that many of these things should go, but because what they do is to just steal money routinely, to steal money routinely, nothing has been done. But you can quickly move to change the national anthem. Within 2 days, you change the national anthem. So these ones affect us directly. Why are you not doing anything about these useless agencies that cannot do anything? After all, what you use to sustain them comes from the local government, comes from the state. The federal government is just an abstraction. What is the federal government? How many of those who are there are representing the people? The president and the vice president, the senators and the members of the House of Reps. The rest are mere appointees.
And yet 52% of
What is the total
everything
number?
goes.
You know, mere appointees are now given the leeway to manage 53% of the total revenue of a country. And those who are elected, the subnationals, are now treated like school prefects. Like school prefects. I'm not supporting the governor, but a governor cannot talk and the minister will be talking. It is rubbish. It is rubbish. A minister is a mere appointee. A governor is elected. It is because they themselves don't even use their brains, because they are just there. Most of them just go there to misbehave. That is why they have been treated like this. That's why they have been treated like this. The federal government cannot now see it, like an avuncular, proprietor, like a grandfather, pronouncing, pontificating on how the state should spend their money. In all ways, it's because of this allocation that you have, most of the agencies of the state now encroaching on the duties of the states and the local governments. It's because you allocate money from the federal purse, the so-called federal purse. That's why you can have an EFCC, for instance, that will be trying people who steal money at the state level. EFCC, state level. That is why, you now have the Federal High Court, which used to be a revenue court, is now struggling with the state high court. It has even relegated the state high court to the background by virtue of section 251 of the Constitution. Go and read it. Talking about what the Federal High Court, can assume jurisdiction over. You have it in every sphere. In every sphere. See, the Supreme Court is not unbundled. And I'm not saying that the local government should be allowed to be exploring oil and all of this, but the local government should take charge for proper accountability. Take United States, for instance, the state of Texas. There is oil. The American government is in charge. But the local government and the state government determines issues of environment, environmental pollution, the state laws. Every state, has its own, in Texas, there is death penalty. In other states, you ought to have as maximum punishment.